Welcome into another episode of Who Should You Choose, a special weekend version. My camera's all messed up from showing you guys my room. All right, so the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments and help you with your hut lineup decisions. Let's get into the most interacted with comments. We'll start at the top. Yo, Naku says, I think this year of Hockey Ultimate Team is one of the best years to make a theme team, and you can still stay competitive because of how close the player overalls are, and you can use your favorite players and don't have to use the new highest player overall. 100% agree with this. We said this a number of times. I think that because progression is so halted that you can definitely get away. I bought the 85 Granlund for my No Money Spent team, and while he's not great, it's not like he's detrimental. So I definitely agree with that being one of the changes to lower progression. Overkill says, you mentioned wildcard going through an identity crisis. The reward path is great, but the way to get there is frustrating. The stats do not count for most objectives. I just play, start every game on Superstar and put my controller down and go do other things. Example, I start a game, then I go take out the garbage. I start the next one and fold some laundry. If the game is tied at the end, I'll play OT to get bonus. The current path needs 25 wins or 50 losses on Superstar to complete it. I'm fine with 50 losses if I can go do other things while it plays. Make the stats from wildcard count for more objectives. I might actually play them. That's an interesting point. Honest to God, that's an interesting point. I think that there definitely needs to be more an incentive. Like I said, I think just allowing us to use more master set player items would be way more fun. Panic Choice Pareko is looking pretty good. Yeah, I don't know if you guys watched the video or the streams. I panicked with like 10 minutes to go, chose Pareko over Ekholm, and man, the big man had a couple of goals against the Leafs, and now he's up to an 88 on Tuesday. Hey, Slaves, thanks for everything you do. Do you think it's worth making Bowmeister if he's replacing the 84 game breaker Gooley from my pre-order? My other two left defensemen are Char and Ekholm. I don't hate Gooley, but J-Bo looks too good to pass up right now. Honestly, you could probably take out Ekholm right now over Gooley, like have Gooley just because he's a little bit quicker. But no, J-Bo is among the three best in the game right now, for sure. Yeah, Sue, Slaves, I'm a D1 player, and I'm living the day-to-day of sweaty rivals. I just wanted to suggest to you and your fine followers to try a goalie with gold no-timer. I switched to 85 Bobrovsky and haven't looked back since. I find when opponents take a few D to Ds and don't score and see that I have gold no timer on, that they get discouraged from spamming with me with it all game. Just a thought if you're using Giants who flop or freeze on Evergreen 1T. Thanks for keeping up the great work. Edit. XP Kemper also has no timer if you prefer a few more inches in height. It's a good point. I haven't noticed it do anything, to be honest with you. But this is from someone who's very good at rivals, so it might be something to consider. I still go with whoever's the fastest and biggest, like Casa, for example. Rip to the guy who chose Kopitar over Pareko. My thoughts are with you after his 2 goals tonight, hoping Kopitar pops off for that guy. Man, the fantasy event is unmatched because of that stuff. Like, Twitter was a disaster last night. Like, I was obnoxious on X because of, like, just Pareko scoring, so I love it. Why can't overtime losses count for something in Champs? I had a tough go with 4 overtime losses. Simply because Champs is meant for winners. I got it. You know what I mean? Like, I have no problem with it not counting for something. Because I don't know what it would help you with, like XP. Like, I don't know what you would get for an overtime loss. It is meant for winning. Like, it is the one game mode where it should be meant for, like, just all out sweaty wins. That's it. For the fantasy trade-in thing, you can say that about any event, not just fantasy. We have leftover collectibles from a lot of events. Yeah, this is becoming a major issue, guys. If you have leftover collectibles from an event or tokens or whatever, they're, like, useless. Tokens aren't, but if you can't make any more, they are. So this is just an oversight from EA. I don't agree with it. I think that they need to figure something out. It could just be trading 1 for a pack, a small one, 3 for something else, and 5 for a big one or a bigger pack, like they did last year. I don't understand this change. It's really stupid, and now you have a ton of collectibles in your collection that do nothing. Can we agree that account-bound cards are somewhat unnecessary, especially looking at the Panarin card, the fact that you have to grind for an account-bound version, but if you want an untradeable version, you can spend like $50 on it. Kind of ruins the experience for free-to-play players. I don't really care about account-bound players that are high overall. I think that account-bound players, like for Panarin, for example, Panarin being account-bound, you're not going to trade in 86s for like months, right? Like the fact that they offer an untradeable one in the store is just money hungry. But I don't have a huge issue with it as long as the card is usable. I can't stand if you grind and it's an 80 overall, it's account bound. Like, why are we doing that? That's silly. But I don't know. Hey, Slaves, what's the point of even playing anymore? My problem is that every time a new event comes out, you have to grind milestones, but also objectives, or moments, but also objectives. Objectives are very boring and cannot be done while simply playing online versus, which leads to us to spending hours doing boring offline chores. So here's the thing. If you look at the amount of stuff, like the objectives required, if you got a decent card and put them in your first line or second line, you could passively play Rivals in a week and get pretty close to finishing them. Like, I don't think it's out of the question to get some of these objectives done. But the problem is that the further we get into the game, those free cards that they give out are not good enough for a lot of the higher end players to not be at a competitive disadvantage, right? I just think that, like, it should be, you could get away with it, but the card has to be better. Also, you have to complete wildcard, which is very boring, and people who can't play all day end up spending all their hut time doing stupid chores and never actually getting to use their team on the games. Bro, preach, man. I legit play all day, every day, or 4 or 5 hours a day, and I'm legit doing whatever the prior or whatever expires that day. Like, I went 10 days without Rivals because I didn't have time because I had to catch up, right? I think that, like, that's probably the better way to go about it. I think that a lot of the issues are the XP path has a lot of that was so bad that they had to throw all of the moments and all that other stuff into the game to make up for the lack of rewards. I think that's a major issue. So I'm hoping that season 2 doesn't have a lot of this incessant grinding and you can go back to just playing Rivals. Also, people who play online versus don't get enough rewards to continue to get new players and upgrade their team, which is why, in conclusion, there's no point in even playing Hut while being no money spent because you can't enjoy your team without falling behind. I think the fear of falling behind, though, is an old game mentality. Like, people don't have that. Like, if people play all the time, their team can't be that much better because the progression is so slow that, like, you'll probably stay in the same skill level, like, for Rivals, right? Like, but I agree, man. I'm having to play way more moments and objectives every week, and that stinks. I just want to play Rivals. Hey, Slaves from Prague. Bonjour. I want to ask about the appropriate time to upgrade my players. My left-handed D is 85 Chara, Ghoulie, and Gamebreaker Riley. I also have Fantasy Forsling waiting. The new Jabo looks cracked, but I just can't make myself spend the resources for a +2 upgrade. Keep up the good work. So, Jabo offers something that, like, you won't see, and that's, like, insane size, as well as a great ability, as well as good skating. You just don't see that. So, he could definitely replace Ghoulie for you. He could definitely replace Gamebreaker Riley if you're not a Leafs fan. But it's not out of necessity. Like, if you have not very good centerman, you might want to go with Crosby. You can make one for free from the event, so I would personally choose Jabo, but I don't credit anyone or discredit anyone for going with Crosby or waiting for week 2, in the situation you're in. But honestly, he's better than Ghoulie and Riley. Slaves, I wanted to thank you for all the... Oh, actually, one more thing. It's not so much about the overall, like the +2. It's the attributes that matter. So defensive awareness, body checking, speed, height, and ability, right? Even though he's only +2 overall, he's far better in all of those. Sleeves, I want to thank you for all the videos back in NHL for the first time in 8 years. Even though I was top 100 back in the day in Hut, I have a significant amount of rust to knock off. You've helped me immensely in that process. Bro, the tip to put your skater's strategy all the way to shoot over cycle made a massive difference for me. Appreciate you, my guy. Yeah, guys, if you are having a hard time online or even in squad battles, check out my strategies video. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it, so I'm glad that it's helping. Hey, Sleeves, as someone who has limited time playing the game, what do you think is the best way to use my time? I've managed to complete the wild card every week, but besides the X Factor cards, there's not much for rewards. Do I continue to play wild card each week or do something else? Thanks for the content. Okay, so if you only have time in a week for wild card, that at least is somewhat fun, if you're playing it online. I don't know. But and the rewards are worth it in terms of time input. What I would focus on is the weekly competitive objective path, getting the 30 wins, but wildcard doesn't count for that. So I don't know if you have enough time for that. Those packs, they'll probably net you about 100,000 coins in value. That's where your focus should be. I hope they bring back game day cards, man. Those were so fun. Even if they let you make bigger stars that started a lower overall. Imagine getting a 4-day limited set on a Tuesday to grind all week to make like 81 overall Bedard or 81 Matthews because they have a primetime game on Friday. I'd love that. Game day cards were great. Again, the fantasy event is proof that anytime that you put in a card that has like a chance to upgrade via real life performance, that's great. Absolutely love that. A bit of a rant today, a bit of a rant, but probably a realistic scenario for some players. The objective specifically, the weekly complete competition, allows us to play squad battles, rivals, and HUD champs. However, there's a catch. You have to win. Given limited time, I often find myself playing squad battles because I know I'll earn rewards regardless of the outcome. Not receiving credit towards objectives for a rival's loss feels disheartening. It's frustrating because I'd much prefer to play rivals, but I can't justify missing out on the rewards with the limited time I have. Just my 2 cents. I'm sure I'm not alone on this. I don't know the perfect balance for this. Maybe that's an online rivals win counts as 2, and a squad battles game counts as 1. I think that's probably the fairest way to do it. I mean, technically, for superstar squad battles, it's twice the stuff if you complete a game online. So that's probably a better way to go about it. Because I agree. Hey, slaves, I wish they would let us do 1-for-1 trading with tokens. Last event, I had enough time and resources with the fantasy event to get 8 char to 84, but you needed 5 collectibles to get char to 85, and I only had 3. So now I have 3 tokens just sitting there I can't use. This is a big issue. I've relayed this to them. I got no response. I'm hoping that we see some sort of rectifying of this issue, because it's super dumb that this is a thing. They should allow us to trade in retroactively. I don't get why they haven't. Hi, slaves. A few things. I'm going Wings theme team this year, and it actually covers up a lot of HUT issues this year, and I don't need to grind broken moments for players or go out of my way to make char to be competitive. Just made icons. Lindstrom, now I'm HUT poor, and he is a really strong card. With that said, 30 wins every week from objectives for some decent rewards seems like overkill. Much rather be complete 40 games or something, as it's pretty much forces you to play squad battles if you want 30 wins. 30 wins in Rivals last year, you would be laughing with all the cards you would get. I love the slower progression, but even so, it feels like it's impossible to get fodder without playing both side modes. What's the point of Rivals now? When it was first introduced, it made every game competitive, but you were rewarded for the grind with a lot of packs. Now it really has lost its identity and its original purpose, as it's just harder HUT champs. The way HUT is now, I would love for them to bring back the old seasons mode. Also, wildcard is stupid hard. I'm a mid D2 player, and wildcard seems like it's a damn pro attorney. Wildcard's matchmaking does need to be fixed. Wildcard needs to switch to the HUT champs of matchmaking, so you match players that are roughly around the same record. Rivals matter the first 2 weeks of the game when there was no rewards and it was a disaster. But the only thing to work towards was the XP path. Rivals was awesome because I just played Rivals. I got my XP was a bit better in terms of it was the way I wanted to play, right? Because they've had to add in all those things to make up for the XP path being dog ass. Now you have to play the other stuff, and again, forcing players to play the stuff they don't want to play is just chores. It's a job. Video games shouldn't be a job. I'm completely with you on this. I'm hoping that the XP path is insanely rewarding, and if that is the case, if all of the if the XP path includes team builders, if it includes base X factors, if it includes base power up icons, if it includes 75 and above overall tradable packs, if it is just chock loaded of all the rewards, then playing just Rivals, if you want to play Rivals, where squad battles and Rivals has the same roughly XP per minute, then that's how you fix that. But I don't know if they're going to go about that way. I don't. It's tough. So I'm going to flip through some of these. I think this year Hockey Ultimate. Oh, I already read that one. Sorry. Let's go here. Hey, slaves. Hope all is good. I'm about to get my first X Factor captain. I'm pretty stacked on D with Makar, McKinnis, and Shara from prior events. Plus, I'm planning to make the new Subban card since he's my favorite player. I'm thin on forward, though, except for the new Panarin and base Kucherov. Who should I get in my first X Factor pack? And should I make another MSP this week or wait until next week? By the way, it's a shame that objectives and sets don't stay for the duration of the event. It was way easier to plan and choose who to make. Thanks for the advice. So, I'm assuming you mean X Factor captain. Yeah, man, I think that Kucherov is probably the second best. I know I talked about defense being the most important, so like going Heiskanen and Fox, but there's so many good defenseman options now, and Heiskanen is great, but from what I've seen playing the game now with him, if he doesn't have edges on, he's not that great. So you have to burn 2 ability points to kind of make him feel as good as the other options. Kucherov is just a mess to deal with. Like every time I go up against one, it's so much harder. So, uh, no, I love it. Logged in for 5 minutes and grabbed Subban, threw him in at 84 into my lineup and logged out. I haven't even played an online game because there's no point. Good job, EA. You took the game out of your own title. A lot of people, man, like I said, that's why the XP path being such a mess was such a disaster. Season 2's XP path needs to be the main source of rewards, or we're legitimately just getting less rewards for the same game that we had in prior years. It's the play the way that you want needs to be the focus in going into Season 2. I barely have time for wildcard because I have school and I suck at the game, so I go offline on Superstar and I just go inactive and switch. Dude, there's a lot of this, man. And it's becoming an issue because you need people to you want people to play the game. And if you ever get into a situation where you just feel the need to log in to get rewards, stop playing for a little while. Go play Call of Duty, go play a different game. I find that when I take a break in the summertime from NHL, I find myself wanting to play Rivals, which is crazy because it's like August, right? So 100% that's what I would recommend you doing. The progression is so slow that you're not going to fall immensely behind. So hey, Sleeves, thanks for the quality content. I know you mentioned before early on about us just accepting as a player base about the syncing issues before faceoffs. Do you think this will be patched? Last night I had one cause me to lose the opening draw on a power play. It pissed me off to no end thanks to videos. I don't think that we should just accept it, but it is what it is. And now I'm hoping that the game needs a big patch, like one where it fixes like 50 issues. So far, all the patches we've gotten have been the ones to like fix game-breaking stuff with like World of Shell. So I'm hoping we see a massive one. Usually it happens in November, but we'll have to wait and see. Ace Slaves, new to Hut this year, but I've been playing since 2005 on the trusty PS2. I've seen some people do tier lists like Sapster on the power-up icons, and wondering if you'd make a tier list on the X Factor cards, including captains, or even the team builders and so on. Been looking for more content like this to build my team as someone who's free to play. Anyways, great videos. I find myself listening on the way to work. I did an X Factor and a power-up icon guide. But just real quick, team builders are starting to lose their advantage. So if you are going to make one because you got a bunch for free, the only 2 options, in my opinion, are Koivu and Gartner, because I think Boyle and especially Markow, Jabo just completely removes Markow from being great. And then there's so many left-handed wingers, so Ryan Smith. So if you're going to make one, you need to make 2. And in my opinion, it would be Gartner as well as Koivu. In terms of X Factor captains, they're all very similar. I would go Kucherov. No, I'd go Heiskanen 1 and Kucherov 2. It depends on how many you have. Would you be down with having a much better rewards in the XP path if there was a weekly cap on the amount of XP you could grind for? Or do caps ruin the incentive to play too much? I hate time gating in video games because, again, it should be, if you have excessive amount of time, go ahead. Interesting. See, the one issue that EA is running into is that there's event items that come out and they have to be in moments or objectives. What I would love is if it was gated, time gated, and you could put the event stuff like, free collectibles or enough. Let's say a master set item choice pack, right? You could see it in the XP path, but you wouldn't know what's in there. And then when the event comes out, it like unlocks and now you can earn it and you can get a free MSP that way. That's how it should be, right? For example, let's say the XP path started with the off the charts event. You'd have to earn an excessive amount of XP, right? But at the end, you would be able to choose an 85 overall or an 86 overall off the charts card. And that way you're not having to do all the stupid objectives in squad battles and whatnot to get the collectibles required. It should just be like, play the game the way you want and then earn the master set player item. That's how it should be, in my opinion. But that's not going to happen. Anyways, that's going to do it for the special weekend version of Who Should You Choose. Again, I missed two throughout the week, so we'll be back tomorrow morning, Monday morning, for more Who Should You Choose. And if you want to check it out live, I go live in the morning around 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So coming out if you've got if you're working and whatnot. That's what everyone else does. So see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.